positioning the European Union as the main obstacle to peace. Lavrov said this escalation began after the US administration took office, accusing European leaders of pushing aggressive policies against Moscow. Lavrov warned that any European military contingents, if deployed to Ukraine, would be considered legitimate targets for Russian forces. He criticized Europe for ignoring the safety of Ukrainians and their own citizens, describing plans for a multinational European force in Ukraine as dangerous and blind ambitions. European leaders have been discussing security guarantees for Kyiv. These plans include creating European-led military units under the so-called coalition of the willing. Lavrov's comments signal Russia's strong opposition to Western military involvement in Ukraine. And I request Gilbert Doctorow, who is a Russian affairs expert, to join me in this discussion. Thank you, Mr. Doctorow. Viewers, he joins us from Brussels. Gilbert, what progress has really been made under the coalition of the willing as far as a multinational European force is to be deployed in Ukraine?
This coalition of the willing has defined itself much more precisely than we understood when the initiative was first launched more than a year ago. Then it looked like there would be 20 or more participants coming from Europe and also from outside of Europe. Presently, we're speaking about 3 or 4 countries. The lead countries, of course, are Britain, France, and Germany. And these are the ones who have convened various meetings of the coalition, and these are the ones who the Russians have in mind when Lavrov makes these statements. The fact is that Mr. Lavrov is simply repeating various conclusions that the Russians have reached since a year and a half ago. The war changed in the middle of 2024 from the Russians' perception, from a Russian-Ukrainian conflict into a Russian Western Europe proxy war. With the election of Mr. Trump, the initiative for holding up Ukraine, for stopping the Russians, shifted from the United States to Europe, and therefore Mr. Lavrov's words were directed against Europe.
All right. Is it also now that Russia is seeing the European Union as a larger target or a threat?
Oh, clearly yes. And his words about Europe preparing for war are not his perception. They are the open statements of European leaders, of the French, of the British, of the Germans, that you find every day in the world's leading newspapers, the newspapers of record. So it's not a surmise, it's not a Russian view of what's going on. It is a universal view of what is happening. I mean, this is widely accepted and mainstream in the West, that the European countries are leading the effort to prop up Ukraine. They have made it plain that the continued fighting in Ukraine is in their interests, as they perceive it, because it keeps the Russians distracted, it keeps them pinned down, while Europe rearms and prepares itself for a war with Russia. And this is not, again, a commentator speaking. This is what the European leaders themselves, this is what Mr. Merz himself has said publicly.
Yes, and Mr. Doctorow, what do you think is going to be the likely outcome of the talks when Zelensky and Trump meet today?
Well, it's difficult to make any firm prediction, but there are likelihoods. The greatest likelihood is that Mr. Zelensky will be given a drubbing. He will be given quite a difficult time with Trump. He doesn't have at his side the Europeans. They're not in the next room to meet with him and comfort him. They are in Europe. And Mr. Trump, behind closed doors, can probably say to Mr. Zelensky what he really thinks, which is not very complimentary. The troubles that are going on in Kiev, which we spoke about on this broadcast yesterday, that is the corruption investigations going on in the Ukrainian parliament, they are circling Mr. Zelensky. And who is behind that? Mr. Trump, of course. So we have a public show going on. Trump is inviting him for talks, but in reality, at the same time, Trump is applying great pressure personally to Mr. Zelensky by giving assistance to the anti-corruption investigations.
All right, sure. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Doctorow, for joining me in this discussion for